Hello and welcome. My name is Cindy Pavasic and you're joining me on Cape Town TV. We are talking about HIV and you're watching Balance and Bounce. Today I have got two very exciting ladies on board to chat to me about their HIV status and how they have managed it and how they have dealt with the situations that they've found themselves in. And welcome to Blossom. And I better get this right. Noncedo.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us today. Just getting into this very, very quickly, I would like to know, what was your feeling on your initial diagnosis? What was your reaction?
Thank you, Cindy, for inviting us. My initial diagnosis, I went to the doctor on Monday because I wasn't feeling well and I was pregnant with my son. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I was losing energy day by day. And it was on Monday, on the 13th of September in 2004. And the doctor wasn't sure what was wrong with me, so he suggested that I do an HIV test. I said, okay, because I wanted to know what was wrong. He said to me I must come back on Wednesday afternoon to get the results. I went there, but between Monday and Wednesday, I was bargaining with God. If you give me this one last chance,
I promise.
I promise I'll do things by a book. I went back still bargaining, but I could see, on the look from the doctor, there was no counseling, pre-counseling and so on. He just gave me the results.
Boom, bam.
They are bad, HIV positive, and everything is low. And I had no information. What is low? How does it go up? Let's increase this. Let's do what we need to do. Oh no, on its own, it will go up.
And tell me, Noncedo, how, I probably didn't get that right again. Tell me, what was your reaction on your diagnosis?
Oh, for me, I tested in 2005, February the 3rd.
Right.
Yeah, it was on Tuesday. Yeah, when I tested, I had TB twice, so the doctor decided that I have to do the HIV test.
Right.
So I was HIV positive and I kept quiet about it because I was ashamed that I'm still young. Now I have these diseases of which I don't know anything about. I only know that it kills. That's all that I know.
Yeah.
There was no, like Blossom had said, there was no counseling, no anything. You're just given the results. Then in 2004, and I get another another TB. Third time, then the fourth time, then on the fourth time I decided that I have to tell my parents.
And how did they react?
At first it was my father. He was like, I never thought this thing will come into my house.
Into the
Normally, it's in our culture, we call it a thing when we don't know anything about it. It's a thing because we're not sure what is it.
Yeah. I was counting just now when you told me you are 15 years positive, you 14 years positive, I'm 15. Between the three of us, it's 44 years we've got of knowledge that people don't really take our knowledge that and put us in a position where we can actually create awareness. It's quite sad because in all three cases as well, not one of us were pre-counseled or post-counseled.
Yes.
In that time, it was really, really bad. So I feel for you very much so. Tell me, when you started applying for jobs and that, were you a little bit skeptical that you were going to find any work after you were HIV positive, trying to get into the workspace? Were you like very scared?
I was scared about the disclosure, for everything, for the family, for everything. I was scared. But I must say that I drew strength from an HIV organization that I was referred to for support, which is Yabonga.
Okay.
I started to get an education around HIV.
And you work for them as well?
I work for them. So from there, meeting other people who were also HIV positive, discussing our challenges and how to overcome them and exploring possible solutions, that's where I drew strength from. And I could safely say that, I can openly disclose my status.
You're comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
So later I was trained to be a peer educator and I've worked my way through.
And what has been your experience with yourself, with your employers when you have disclosed your status, or have you been working for the one company for
I've been working at Yabonga. I was lucky enough because when I go to the clinic, Blossom, where they're doing the education, talking about HIV and other things, at first I didn't want to listen to them because I see this thing as it's far away still, although I know that I'm HIV positive, but it was still far for me. I was looking at them while they were talking to the big crowd of people like, I'm HIV positive. Then I asked myself, how come these people are here talking about themselves and why can't I do it? So I applied also when there was time that people can come and apply. First I was a client to them.
And when it comes to discrimination in the workplace, you obviously get a lot of people that come in there for counseling and so on as well. Have you found that people are discriminated against quite a lot?
Yes, working for an HIV organization, you are being discriminated. You know, if we're going around the community raising awareness, some people wouldn't be open to talking to us because of the uniform and the affiliation with HIV. Although the organization has evolved and they have like people that are not even infected with HIV. So if you're working for our organization, you are already painted as an HIV positive person.
It's the same thing when you go into clinic. If you're going to that white door over there, people automatically assume, even if you're just going for a test, you're positive.
Your folder tells it all because it's different for the person who's diabetic. You know, it
your folder color, your door
Your
color,
clinic card, even.
So people are still
They know the
severely
green
discriminated
card,
again in this day and age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I see we've still got a huge problem, and not enough is getting done to cover those topics at all.
I agree.
And when you disclosed to your parents and your colleagues, how did they accept you? Or did they accept you?
With colleagues, for me, it was easier because they are my peers and they are living with HIV.
Yeah.
You know.
Klar.
Then with parents, it was me discriminating myself because I have these negative thoughts that they wouldn't accept me. But when my mother flew from Eastern Cape to Cape Town to visit me, you know, in hospital, the one thing that she said after disclosing, oh, it is fine, we still love you. And that was the day that I was able again to walk, to bath myself, things that I couldn't do when she came. That was a breaking point for me.
But also, you having said that now, haven't you also found that people that are HIV positive actually discriminate, we discriminate against ourselves more than anybody else actually do?
Yes.
You found that as well?
Yes.
And still to this day, and I mean,
still to this day, if you meet a potential partner, the first thing that's on a man is I have to disclose. You pressure yourself and like the reaction of this guy. How is it going to be? Is he going to accept? You know.
Okay, we're going to go take a quick break, and we're going to an advert break, and we'll be back shortly to discuss some more about myths and etiquette. Welcome back from the ad break. My name is Cindy Pavasic, and you are watching HIV Balance and Bounce. I am speaking to two wonderful ladies here, and I am going to address a topic that is quite unacceptable, and that is about myths and etiquette that is used around HIV and AIDS. Getting into this as well is something that I have to correct people, and I feel very uncomfortable sometimes correcting people. When you're out and about, and I'm sure you have a lot of people still using traditional medicine. I know on my social media there's always people posting stuff about traditional medicine, speak to Dr. So-and-so in Nigeria or wherever the case is. What is your take on that? How do you feel about people using traditional medication?
It has been proven that there's no cure for HIV. So the only thing that you can take is antiretrovirals.
Right.
So the traditional medicine say no. I have people that I know that have tried to use them. It didn't work. They got worse.
But people, don't you find they become so desperate that they'll try absolutely anything?
Yes.
And it's also very cultural, I suppose. Comes from way back when. That
you know, if you lose weight, if you get thin, you have rash and all, you know, they will say, okay, there's a traditional calling. You know, you have to accept that.
Yes.
So the route always, the referral
Goes
is
that
through
way.
that
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
also the traditional healer will say, okay, confirm, and then you have to follow it. Yeah.
And then when people comment or they ask questions, don't you find that they just are so uncomfortable they don't know how to actually ask people? I was speaking to somebody the other day and they referred to, when I think about it, I asked somebody, are you clean? And I'm like, yes, we shower, we all shower. What are the terminologies that you hear people using incorrectly when they speak to somebody about their HIV status?
Some people call it Z3.
Yeah.
Some people call it Omo. Some people call it a shower or a slut. Yeah.
Really?
They call different names.
Just very
A
straightforward and-
vora, a red voucher. You see, it's the term that they use for HIV
cable?
people.
You're
Yeah.
trapped by
You have
cable.
trapped by the cable. Yeah.
Wow.
So
So it's
many,
quite
so many.
derogatory.
It is. It is.
And I mean, I had somebody, and I apologize for saying this, but it's just a true story. Somebody that's very Afrikaans, male, that posted on my Facebook page about, oh, it's their problem, whoever them and they
yeah.
are, whoever that is. And I actually said to him, well, I'm one of their and them's.
Those people,
I'm one of those people. How dare you actually refer to me as, oh, get rid of them and they must die. I find it is the misconception, the misinformation. People are still very uneducated.
It's really sad at this age in time that still are still uneducated, and our government feels like, you know, we've done so much work.
Yes.
And I feel like this is the beginning.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
beginning.
I also find that feel that the government should be using more of the activists and the non-profit organizations
Yes.
to be going out there and supporting those people and guiding them as well into the communities that need more education.
Correct.
Correct.
But you've got to start up your own organizations. I mean, these are started by people that are actually not HIV
Yeah.
positive. And that's not what should be happening. You
No,
feel the
it's
same
not.
way.
And the support that we'll get from the government.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
who
we're
knows
fighting
more about the
together.
disease than somebody that's living with it?
True.
And don't you also find that people want to speak to somebody who's HIV positive?
Yes.
That's always the case.
Yeah.
That's always the case.
And I personally have found that more and more people that are going out to speak about it is black women. Very much so. You do not get the black men and the white women. White men and black men. Straight
Women.
straight black men and straight white men, they do not want to disclose and speak about it. You'll find straight white women and straight black women are in the majority that I've come across in my personal
Black
capacity. Eh?
As black women.
Yeah, that are speaking
It
out
is.
and creating awareness.
is.
Even
So-
if you go to the clinic,
Yeah.
you will only see the women that are sitting there.
Yeah.
And some men are taking ARVs from their women who have been to the clinic.
So
They are ashamed to go to the clinic. They want to go to the clinic when we are pushing them with a barrow. It's so early time.
So more and more of the myths are getting dispelled through yourselves into the community. They're taking away those myths and misconceptions. Should people first educate themselves about the disease before discussing HIV and AIDS? Say somebody is out there that is HIV negative. Before they want to actually engage in a conversation, shouldn't they educate themselves first?
I think it should be both, because if they engage themselves, it should be from an informed point of reference. But I also feel otherwise that, you know, but they should be opened when
Yes.
they engage. They should be open in learning
Yeah.
to say, you the one that has the experience because you're living with the HIV. Please teach me,
Yeah.
school me, you know.
Yeah, I find you're quite correct, because I find as well that the minute I start speaking about it, the questions come.
They're coming.
But people have the wrong terminologies. It's like
Yes.
they ask things like, how did you find out? Do you know who infected you? I mean, that is just unacceptable, and people don't get it. So we've got to educate them so that I don't get offended anymore. But I mean, there are the newly diagnosed they get offended.
They get
They
offended.
like, oh, not going to talk about that. People are just being rude to me. So it does prevent, I think, in a lot of cases, people that are HIV positive, especially the youth,
Yes.
disclosing their status and going out there and speaking about it. Do you have a lot of youth that are actively
We don't really have
Yeah,
youth
oh.
that are actively
talking?
talking about it. Instead, later in life, like at about 13 or 16 or 14 or 15, they want to stop taking medication because they are tired.
Oh.
They are
Sure.
tired, yeah.
Wow, that's quite scary.
It is scary. It is
So there's
scary.
nothing, there's not much happening within the schools and the communities with education on HIV.
There is to a certain degree. There is to a certain degree, but it all goes back to how uneducated our communities are. Because that child is part of a family, is also part of the community. So we need to educate, the family, because everyone is part of it. I can do some work with you as a child.
Yeah.
In terms of education, but when you go back home and when you go back to the family, it's a
They don't wanna
different.
hear.
Yes.
I fully agree with you. I find that the adults need to be educated so it can actually filter down.
Yes.
We're just going to take a quick ad break and we'll be back to chat about myths and etiquette shortly. What would you do if you found out one of your friends was HIV positive? Would your reaction be supportive? What would you do?
I definitely think it would be a supportive reaction. I think I would first make it clear that I'm there for them. I would fully support them and give them unconditional love and support, and then also say to them, is there anything I can do to help? Like, what do you need from me? How can I be supportive? And like, what role do you need me to play? And how can I be there for you?
Do you think that somebody that's HIV positive and can use any sort of drugs?
No, because HIV positive, you need 3 days. Don't use drugs.
Don't use
anymore.
as simple as that. Don't use drugs. And tell me something else. When somebody's HIV positive, how would you speak to them? How would you approach them if they came and they told you, I'm HIV positive? What would your reaction be to them?
You must think nicely. Don't kill self. I just think.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Louisa. Welcome back. You are with Cindy Pavasic and you are watching Balance and Bounce on Cape Town TV. As you saw, we went out onto the streets of Cape Town and chatted to a couple of people to find out what their take was on the myths and etiquette around HIV and AIDS. I must admit, I was pleasantly surprised at the level of education and information that these people do have. And the two ladies that I've got in here in studio with me today, just as a bit of a background, it's not normal when we speak to the public that comes into us to find out about HIV and AIDS, to have that kind of knowledge, is it? What is your take? What have you found out from people that come in there and their knowledge on HIV and AIDS?
From the areas that I've worked with, it really depends. Where you are working. We have other areas where people are highly informative about HIV.
Yeah.
But it's not that people keep it together. They do not share the information that they know about HIV.
Because I found as well that people still come in and say to me, but can't you get it from mosquitoes? And I'm like, this is like 30 years plus down the line and you're still asking those kind of questions. I mean, they're not getting that education anywhere. They're asking each other, somebody that is HIV negative, they're asking, oh, but you can get it from mosquitoes. What people don't realize is that a mosquito doesn't inject blood into you. They actually inject like an anesthetic, and then they draw the blood from you. Hello. What sort of questions do you get asked still?
Oh, like if a virgin can sleep with a man who is HIV positive, then he can get cured.
Still?
Yeah, still.
Wow.
Even in rural areas, you will find out that a young child is being given to a big man, so that they can get married, and that man can get cured with the
From
HIV.
HIV? Wow.
Or if a man doesn't ejaculate inside,
Yes.
a woman, then they would be safe.
Wow. Still those sort of myths going
Yes.
around, hey?
Yes.
Sure. And when it comes to eating, I got asked the other day as well, can I eat off somebody's fork? Can I drink out of their glass? This was a discussion about food and what have you. So it's kind of scary.
It is scary. In one area, I interviewed this woman who was HIV positive, and she was being discriminated by his family. His small children, they wouldn't want to hug her, sleep with her, or even share, kitchen utensils.
Yes.
So I had to educate her. Then she would go back and educate her children. And then they, their relationship got better, and they they were kind of informed about HIV and how to treat the person that is living with HIV.
And yourself?
And for me, where I work, we have a mother who was saying that her child is keep on visiting the aunt, and she knows that the aunt is HIV positive. Now she has a fear that the aunt might open the child's mouth while the child is asleep and pour some blood so that the child could be affected.
Wow, that's quite kind of scary.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't realize that who's going to do that? Who's quite insane enough to do something like that? I mean, I understand the fear from the mother side of things, but quite frankly, it's not going to happen. It's just something that is insane. But I would like to thank you very much, ladies. You've been very informative, and I hope that people will actually come and get educated, because obviously you've been at this for many years.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and I hope that you have learned something today. And if you are in any doubt, you feel free to contact one of us, because we will share the information. We are open to discussions. We visit sites. It's just something that we are quite, and I don't really enjoy this word, passionate about. Anybody watching that knows me knows I don't do that. But I would love to speak to people that do not understand. And keep in mind that HIV is not a shame.